Hey there, are you thinking about moving to Austin and want to know what it's like to live in Central Austin? Luckily for you, I actually live in Central Austin, so this is an extra bonus. I'm going to give you the inside look of what it's like living in Central Austin. Also, you'll want to be sure and stay till the end because I'm going to give you 4 reasons you might not want to move to Central Austin. My channel is Austin, Texas area living. Please subscribe and like this video, comment down below, let me know what you think, and let me know if there's other areas that you'd like inside looks at. Let's get started. So one of the things most people like about living in Central Austin is just proximity. We have proximity to downtown, to all the way east out by Tesla, all the way north to Lake Travis. So we're right in the heart of everything that's going on. So proximity is probably the #1 reason that people move to Central Austin. There's a lot of ways to get around in this area, and that also makes it helpful when it comes to proximity. So you have your traditional highways, and we're fronted by 2 major highways, I-35 and Mopat, and so you have access to those to get anywhere really quickly. But then also you have the bus lines that run all throughout Central Austin, as well as bike paths everywhere and scooters and just a lot of walkability. In my neighborhood specifically, I'm near Mueller, which is East Central. You can walk to the park, which is a big draw for this neighborhood, or you can walk over to local restaurants and watch football or do whatever you want to do at the restaurant. So there's a lot of just proximity to everything. And that also creates a sense of community. So a lot of the neighborhoods will have local restaurants and local parks, so you'll be your neighbors and a lot of people in your community. And so that's one reason that people like living in Central Austin. All the parks and green belts. So Austin has been very conscious about developing the city with parks. So a lot of the neighborhoods have access right into those green belts, or they have bike paths that lead into those green belts. So you can bike for miles all throughout the city, and you can hike and it'll lead into the hills. And so if you're an outdoor person and you like that type of lifestyle, then Central Austin is a great place to live because you're going to be right next to all of that. You can get into the green belt downtown, which will lead into the lake where they have paddle boarding and canoeing and rowing, and in the summer it's just a big party every weekend. So a lot of people like the parks and recreation and hiking lifestyle that comes along with living in the city of Austin. The next thing that you'll have proximity to is a restaurant and shop. And most of those restaurants are not going to be your typical chain restaurants, but they're going to be more of your local restaurants that are unique to Austin itself. A lot of Tex-Mex, a lot of barbecue living in Austin, but we have everything, all kinds of food. One of my favorite restaurants actually is a Vietnamese restaurant in Central Austin. So you're going to have access to really good food. And I have to say, if I ever left Austin, I think that would probably be one of the main things I would be afraid of leaving is all the good food that's just right in my neighborhood. I can either walk or drive to it, or I can even order on Uber Eats, but I'm always getting really good gourmet meals for not that much. Also, you're going to have Central Market, which is located on North Lamar in Central Austin, and it's a gourmet grocery store. It's actually owned by H-E-B, which is the grocery store chain here, but it's like an upgraded version where you'll get like high-end and unique produce. There's a whole fish and meat counter. There's a very nice bakery. There's a whole cheese section, and you can just spend hours going through that store. And the cool thing about that store is actually there's a restaurant attached to it, and attached to the restaurant is a huge patio with a park and a playground. And so if you have kids, it's like one of my favorite things to do is to just go to the restaurant, order food, go to the store, buy a bottle of wine, sit out on the patio. A lot of times they have live music, even dancing, but it's kid friendly. And so then there's a park and the kids are running around in the playground, and it makes a really good spring evening or fall evening. Summertimes it's a little bit too hot here, but you get that living in Central Austin. Another thing with Central Austin that you'll get is character. So the homes were built between the 1900s and the 60s in Central Austin, probably closer to the 40s to the 60s up here north. At the further south and closer to downtown you'll get those older homes. But specifically Central Austin, you'll get the typical bungalows that have a lot of character. So they're not going to have your open concept floor plan, or they're not going to be 3,000 to 4,000 square feet. Like I went down into a 1,500 square foot home when I moved to Central Austin. So you're trading off space for character. You'll get wood floors sometimes, you'll get old shiplap sometimes, or the mid-century modern look, because a lot of them were built during that time period. And so you'll get a lot of character in the houses. And then right next door to those houses, you'll have where they've torn down the old house. It just was in bad shape, and they'll put a new house that's modern, flat roof, stucco, and sometimes those houses will have 2 houses per lot. So you're getting a little bit more density, and those houses might be right next door to an apartment complex. So you're getting that urban density, but you also get a lot of character because of that. And so if you like neighborhoods with character that are older, then you're gonna love living in Central Austin. There's a lot to do in Austin. That's one of the draws, and that's why so many people like to move here. You'll have festivals and live music, and you'll have fitness in the park. There's yoga studios everywhere, dancing. You're close to Rainey Street downtown. You're close to East 6. So there's a lot to do in Austin. It's a very vibrant and creative and busy lifestyle. You get the festivals with ACL and South by Southwest. So if you live in Central Austin, you're going to be within walking distance. There's the football games at UT and basketball. There's concerts in the new Moody Center. So when I moved here, that was one of the things that actually took me a while to get used to, because there were so many options and so many things I wanted to do. And I was really close to all of that action. And so it's a very kind of busy lifestyle, but then you also have the laid back, keep Austin weird, kind of chill lifestyle mixed in with that, if that makes sense. So you're going to have all of that going on in Central Austin. Now, let me go over 4 reasons you might not want to move to Central Austin if you're considering it. So if you do not want a smaller house, that's one reason not to move to Austin. You can get bigger houses that have been rehabbed or tore down, but a lot of those houses are going to be higher in the price range. So if you're looking for that kind of neighborhood where all the houses look the same and they have a community pool, then Central Austin isn't going to be that. Just given its age, you're going to want to look more in the suburbs, and you'll want to watch our videos on living in Cedar Park, living in Leander, living in Kyle Buda, Round Rock, Georgetown. That's where you're going to find those type of neighborhoods, and those are still really in close proximity to Central Austin and downtown, but you're going to get the larger house if that's something you're looking for. Another reason not to move to Central Austin is you might want to take a look at the school. There's a mixed ratings of schools. If you're looking at a website like greatschools.org or some of those other websites that have school ratings, and if that's super important for you to have 10 out of 10 elementary, middle, and high school, then Central Austin might not be the place for you. There are great schools. My kids actually attend the schools here in Austin, and I like that there's just a good amount of diversity and a lot of cultural and social emotional learning that go on in those schools. My daughters actually go to an art school that's very specific for art. So you get that kind of Austin influence on the schools. But if you're looking for something that's just really great academics, then just look at the ratings in the neighborhoods that you're looking, because you might find a mixed bag in Central Austin, and that might be a reason you don't want to move to Central Austin. And so then another reason is just the cost. So I moved here in 2017. I've seen the cost go up just in those small amount of years, but your smaller bungalow, if it needs a lot of work, is probably going to start in the $500,000 range. And then if you've got a remodeled bungalow or a new build, you're going to go all the way up into the $1 million range, all the way up into the $2.5 million range for some of the higher end houses. So cost of living, rent is going to correlate with the sales price of houses. So cost of living is a major factor. And if you're looking to get into an entry home, then you're going to have to go further out. Fortunately, that's what's happened in the city of Austin. There's a price tag that comes along with all of that proximity. And then lastly, you're going to get the stuff that comes along with urban living. You're going to get the homelessness. You're going to get maybe more crime. And if that's a big turnoff for you, then you're going to want to look further out. So those are the reasons not to move to Central Austin. I love it. I found that it's been a great fit for my family and my lifestyle. I run a real estate team here in Austin. So if you have any real estate needs, comment below. I'll put my contact information in the description of the video, and feel free to reach out to me. Thanks.